Welcome to the very beginning of the 15th annual Best of the Best in Horror Countdown 2024 through 2025. I appreciate those who have followed this countdown from all the way back to my days as a wee reviewer on Ain't It Cool News all those years ago. For those of you who are new to the channel, welcome. If you love horror, this is definitely the place for you. This is my absolute favorite time of the year, October, and like many of you, I don't wait until the end of the month to celebrate Halloween. On ML Miller Frights, we celebrate horror all year long, but we party extra hard in October. This is my 15th annual countdown of the best in horror. Most count down their best of the year lists in January, but I feel that celebrating the best in horror during the month of October is much more appropriate. This is ML Miller Frights, Best in Horror Countdown 2024 through 2025. Alright, let's get through some nuts and bolts here first. I'll be posting reviews of films in the horror genre that I feel were the best I've seen between October 1st, 2024 through September 30th, 2025. That was yesterday. As an added bonus, I'll be adding a secondary review that may be somewhat related to the main review, or sometimes just missed the countdown by inches. Either way, it's a double dose of great horror to be on the lookout for. Every time I do this, there's a bunch of questions I have to answer, so here goes my answers to all of those who are curious as to how I do this countdown. The cutoff point is September 30th, so you won't see reviews of Good Boy or Shelby Oaks or any other films released this month. Most likely I'll cover them, and if they're good, they'll show up in next year's countdown. The secondary reviews are not in order counting down to the best. They're just good or notable films that have something to do with the main countdown review, or again, just missed the countdown by a skosh. How do I come up with this list? I begin a list starting October 1st and painstakingly add and subtract to it as the year goes by. For me, what stands out the most is something I haven't seen before. That's what I'm always looking for in horror. I don't count films I've seen in advanced screeners or at festivals. Nothing annoys me more than a haughty critic putting films that aren't available to the masses on streaming, on demand, or Blu-ray, DVD in their best of lists. It's just not fair to you, and I don't really go for that elitist shit here. Every film in this countdown can be seen somehow, somewhere, right now. These are simply my opinions based on my own personal sick and twisted tastes, not box office or critic ratings. It's just a list of horror movies that stood out to me as the best. And if you disagree, please let me know your opinion down below in the comments where I'll respect them as long as you respect mine and others who chime in. Finally, I really want this channel to grow, so please spread the word about this countdown to everybody you know. Toss it a like, and if you haven't subscribed, please do. It costs nothing, and that way you'll never miss a new post, and it'll help this channel grow to gargantuan proportions and give me a little ego boost to keep it going for as long as I'm able. Now that that's all over with, let's start with the countdown with number 31, Getaway, which was released on December 6th, 2024. It's streaming on Hulu from XYZ Films. It's directed by Steffen Haars and written by Nick Frost. Nick Frost plays Richard, the patriarch of a UK family who decide to go to Svalta, a remote Swedish island, for vacation. His wife Susan, played by Aisling B., claims her ancestors are from the island and looks forward to experience the island's Festival of Karantan, which celebrates the island's violent founding. Richard can't wait to spend time with his family, though his kids, Sam, played by Sebastian Croft, and Jessie, played by Maisie Ayers, would love to be anywhere else. The family ignores the warnings of the locals to not go to the island, but once there, they find that this planned cultural experience isn't going to be as quaint as they expected. The Griswolds go to the Wickerman Island, or for you modern kids, Midsummer Vacation, is pretty much the best way to describe Getaway. Nick Frost reteams with Steffen Haars, who also directed him in Crazy House. Getaway is a satire on the recent folk horror craze. Everything you'd expect to see in a folk horror flick is there. The rituals, the weird harvesty masks, the sacrifices, the worshipping of age-old traditions, the reclusive locals, and the strangers in a strange land. It's all there. It's just, this time, it's being done as a comedy, and it works splendidly. Frost plays the sheepish and corny dad, just looking for some time to reconnect with his family. It's great seeing Frost return this year in 3 horror films. While I didn't really like Black Cab, Getaway is more interesting as it seems to lean more towards Frost's comedic talents rather than flexing his dramatic muscles. Sure, Frost can do a decent job with drama, but Getaway shows where the man is comfortable and at his best. Here he embodies Clark Griswold's unwavering optimism and desire to recapture those golden years. As Richard, he delivers painful dad jokes and plays the butt of other jokes, yet still shows his snarkier side when those expectations are beat down by his asshole kids and this strange island cult. The wonderful Aisling Bea keeps right up with Frost's comedic wit, delivering some barbed humor and witty comebacks to the less-than-friendly locals. Frost and Bea throw out some wonderful back-and-forthings with the ease of a classic comedic team, making it seem like this married couple have known each other for a lifetime. And the kids are great too. Much like Rusty and Audrey from the Vacation movies, they're jaded and bratty, mocking their lame parents and longing to be back home and miserable rather than on vacation and miserable. Maisie Ayers is especially good as the monotone Jessie, who has a love-hate relationship with her brother, yet also delivers some tender moments with Frost. Adding to the comedy is the delightful Eero Milonov from Border and more recently Azrael, who plays the creepy owner of the bed and breakfast the family is staying at. Yes, the man looks strange, but he also skates that line of being a lovable innocent soul and a devilishly perverted monster so well. I hope this actor gets a lot more work. Horror would be all the better if Milonov takes more genre roles. And I haven't even mentioned the fantastic performance from Invincible's Juko Ahola and Anita Suikari, who are great as the town elders who loathe seeing these tourists invade their island. I'm focusing on the cast because really, it's this group of actors that makes Getaway shine. The familial interactions/conflicts may be familiar, but set against the folk horror template, it all feels fresh and new. The various personalities feel developed, and the actors feel comfortable in these roles. Maybe because they're basing them on those old Vacation movies. Either way, the cast delivers the comedy crisply and wickedly. There's a big turn in the story and things get absolutely blood-drenched soon enough, but the build there, featuring these characters interacting with one another, is so much fun that it makes you overlook what could be labeled as a rather predictable turn. This development is best left unspoiled, so that's all I'm going to say about that. Just know that Frost & Co. have delivered a film that feels as if it was made in the same vein as Shaun of the Dead, cleverly taking expectations we usually see in folk horror and flipping the hell out of them. I highly recommend this horror comedy that tickles and intrigues, but never forgets the blood and scares, too. Keeping up with the theme of small-town horrors, here's a fun little movie worth noting that mixes a small-town cult with big-time wrestling. Here's my review of Dark Match. It was released on January 31st, 2025, and is streaming on Shudder from RLJE Films. It's directed and written by Lowell Dean. Traveling around the country with a small-time wrestling crew, Miss Behave, played by Aisha Issa, struggles with playing the heel, the role of the villain, meaning that becoming the crowd-pleasing champion will never happen. When the troupe, along with her boyfriend and fellow wrestler, Mean Joe Lean, played by The Walking Dead's Stephen Ogg, her arch-rival Kate the Great, played by Z and influencers Sarah Canning, sleazy manager Rusty, played by Jonathan Cherry, and the silent masked wrestler Enigma, played by Mo Adan, lands a gig too good to be true in a small snow-covered town. But once they arrive, they realize the residents of this quiet burg are strange, though they welcome the group with open arms. Once the match begins, led by Games Master Spencer, played by the always awesome Michael Eklund, Miss Behave and her fellow wrestlers realize they're playing for their lives in a match that turns out to be a dark ritual led by cult leader Prophet, played by real-life wrestler Chris Jericho. Now Miss Behave and her fellow wrestlers must fight for their lives as this wrestling match becomes all too real. Dark Match is a whole bloody barrel of fun. In a day and age where horror sometimes takes itself too seriously, with its heavy drama and elevated themes, it's refreshing to see a film simply made to please the crowd. Wolf Cop director Lowell makes every match count in this tournament for the wrestlers' lives, creating unique scenarios representing the natural elements of fire, water, air, earth, and spirit to keep this action horror mashup fresh and exciting. The results are gruesome and bloody, but what makes it all work is the deft use of character added by a very talented cast. Aisha Issa is phenomenal in the lead role of Miss Behave. With a large stature, she's believable as a wrestler, and more importantly, she's a good actor on top of that. This film would have fallen apart without her impassioned performance. We feel her frustrations for not having a chance to wear the title belt, and her conflicting emotions about her relationship with her white co-wrestler, Mean Joe Lean, played by Stephen Ogg. This film is set in the 80s after all, and multiracial relationships were not yet en vogue in small-town America. This subtle social message is handled without beating you over the head with it, and it's all the more effective because of that sole fact. The rest of the cast rocks too. It's great seeing Stephen Ogg in a lead role as the good guy. He so often plays the scuzzy tough baddie, and it's great to see him get a chance to show his virtuous side for a change. Ogg's got a wonderfully gruff everyman vibe, and I hope he gets to show this side more often. I also have to mention Michael Eklund, who always gives his all in his slithery performances. Here he's pretty much playing to type, but he always adds gravitas to a cast whenever he appears. Finally, while he has had cameos in the Terrifier series, Chris Jericho shines as the cult leader Prophet. Basically, he's playing the role of the villain, often seen in wrestling performances, but since this is an over-the-top movie, that style and presence works. You really load this guy by the end. I don't know much about modern wrestling. My interest in it ended just about when The Rock got popular. Not because of that, it's just that I kind of drifted away from the popular form of entertainment. But Dark Match really encapsulates those lo-fi wrestling vibes of old with gimmick matches and colorful characters. Add in loads of gore and violence, and this one's a winner. Sure, the satanic ritual stuff is very cliched, and while I liked the ending, the CG effects were less than great. Still, Dark Match most importantly gives you colorful characters to root for and loathe, just like the good old days of wrestling. I recommend this one for old school wrestling fans and those who like a little gop and gore with their ultra violence. As always, feel free to agree, disagree, or how about you play along at home and give me your own picks for your own favorite movies of the year. It's October, so let's talk horror. Come back tomorrow for the next level in the Best in Horror Countdown. Be sure to hit all of those pertinent bells and whistles down below, and you'll never miss a post. Happy Halloween, folks.